Hey guys, we're back. This is the final video for the penguin colony example. Just to recap what we've done our problem section and just noticing we got all these research links here, which is really cool and helps our case for higher grades. We then did our plan section. Following that, we did our data section, which included the 4 outputs from NZGrapher that we needed. We then did the trend. So that was the big 40-minute video. That tried to explain each of the key things that we were observing. After that, the last video we did our forecast, and I've got the forecast table still there, so I can delete all that. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to do our conclusion. And in most statistical reports, the conclusion is normally the most important part. Obviously, the analysis part is a really big part to play in it for time series as well. So let's have a look at the marking schedule to see what we need to do for our conclusion. So the conclusion needs to be consistent and answers the purpose of the investigation. So 2 things. Answers the question. So I'm just interpreting from that, and then it links to the purpose. So that's the achieved ones. Well, let's have a look at merit. The conclusion is more developed and written in context, and it's also linked to relevant contextual knowledge gained through research. Linked to research. So that appears to be the other one, the merit criteria. So let's write more developed. Okay, so let's get into it. So the marking schedule, just looking at that, it's not actually overly helpful. So when I do my conclusion, I like to look at an example just to give me ideas of what to talk about. Obviously, I can't copy them because the context is different. So the words they use won't quite be right for my context, but it'll give me a good idea of what to look at and what to discuss. So I've got the more detailed report. This is an example from the book, and I found this really useful when looking through my conclusions. And I'm going to split screen again. So we're down to our conclusion, and let's scroll down to the conclusion of this report here. Okay, so conclusion, we can see it is relatively short and sharp. They've also discussed limitations, and they've had a bit of a reflection, and that was some of the excellence criteria. But we won't be aiming to do that too much, but that's a really easy way to add on some excellence points. So the first step, so they did the number of cases increased. So that's a bit of a summary from the analysis section by the looks of it. So what we could do potentially is we could scroll up to our analysis section and copy and paste that sentence there. So overall, the number of penguins in the colony decreased between 2000 and 2006. Okay, so we've done that. During 2006, there was a change in regulations. So that's the link with the purpose. Okay, so what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to then have a look at the seasonal effect of it. So if we go back to our seasonal effect discussion, where are we? So it's this type of discussion, and I'm just going to copy and paste it in below, and I'll delete it later on just so I can refer to it. With respect to the seasonal effects, the penguins' reproductive cycle plays a significant role in the number of penguins in the colony. And that there is actually my link back to earlier research. That was one of the merit criteria. And then just to clarify that, I'm going to write as researched in the analysis section. So I'm linking back to research. That's really good. We found that the number of penguins is at its highest in December. We also found that the number of penguins in the colony is at its lowest. And did I say when it was at its lowest? In June, by the looks of it. in June. So that's a bit of a summary of the analysis section. And that was the basis of our conclusion. Okay, so let's delete all that. So it looks like we have answered our question. So there is an increase or decrease, and then we've mentioned the seasonal effects. And we've also linked it back to research as well. So what I would be doing here is I would be really emphasizing this reproductive cycle discussion that we had. So even though I just deleted it, I am going to bring back. So that was the section, so I will delete that again, sorry. And then we're going to go all the way back up to the seasonal effects, and we're going to get that research part just over there. Okay, so my research demonstrated that the primary factor for the number of penguins in the colony is the reproductive cycle. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write the yearly reproductive cycle. It was found that the mum, what did they do? So they laid the egg, they then left, they then came back. So the idea of needing food, needing sustenance during that cycle was a really big play, or really important reason for this. So it was found the need to hunt and gain weight was a reason why female penguins exit the colony en masse, which had a significant effect on the number of penguins in the colony. Similarly, the birth of penguins during the year caused the number of, during the year, we should be more specific. The birth of penguins around July within a year caused the number of penguins in the colony to swell. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So what I've done is I've stated my reasoning, I've seen what's happened, and then I've linked it back to my research as well. And I'm just going to leave my research link there, but I will delete everything else. Okay, so we've answered the question and we've done some linking back to research. So let's have a chat about the purpose now. So I guess the idea of the purpose was we did see a decrease between the years. So on average, so let's just say that. So despite the fluctuations within a year, we did observe a decline in the number of penguins in the colony. My earlier research suggested that this was due to environmental changes potentially caused by climate change. A warmer environment was less suited for Adelie penguins, which means if this was an Adelie penguin colony, they would have had issues finding krill to eat and stay alive. This issue would have caused a slow decline in the population of penguins in the colony. We also found that the environment, we also found that Adelie penguins were more suited to colder environments, which means ongoing increases to global temperatures will have a big impact on these Adelie penguins. Okay, so I'm liking that. So what I've done is my time series report, it found out there was an overall decrease, and I discussed that and linked that with the research there. And I also found out that the reproductive cycles caused a big change or fluctuation in the number of penguins in the colony, and I've researched that there. So I think that's a good start to my conclusion. The key thing now that I'm doing is I'm trying to link it to the purpose. So the purpose of this report was to assist the New Zealand government and other world organizations in determining whether protection plans for Antarctic penguins were necessary. I have found that Antarctic penguins, in particular Adelie penguins, are at or will have issues with rising global temperatures, which may limit their food supply. Without intervention, these penguins may not have much hope. As a result, I suggest that it would be appropriate for the New Zealand government and other world organizations to assist these penguins by introducing protection policies and plans. So we've done a link to our purpose. The last thing I want to do is, just because we need to go to research, I just want to have a quick Google search. Do these protection plans for the penguins already exist? So let's go to Google quickly. So environmental protection of penguins. So that's probably not enough. It's just saying in New Zealand. Let's have a look in Antarctica. So protection of that. So it actually does look like there is some work ongoing in this. So there's a protection of that. So we can already see there's a protocol for the protection of penguins in the Arctic Treaty. So that's good research, and that's probably something the New Zealand government can rely on. So it appears that there is a section in the Antarctic Treaty, which promotes the protection of Antarctic penguins, I would suggest that the New Zealand government and other world organizations use this. It's called a protocol, so I'm going to put it in quote marks. Use this protocol to develop. Maybe I'll put in brackets further because it's already a little bit developed. Further developed plans and policies to assist penguins in Antarctica. Okay, and I better write that my source. So just going to quickly copy and paste that. So retrieved on 26th of May. So it is a new day now, 2020 from, there we go. And we've got our source there as well. So if you have a think of what we needed to link it with research. We've definitely done that on 3 occasions. More developed, yes, I've chatted about the decrease, what happened, the seasonal fluctuations, what happened, and I've definitely linked it back to the purpose, and I've answered my question as well. So I'm pretty happy with that section now. So if we scroll down, just to recap, we only focused on the merit criteria. Obviously, you'll need to be adding more on for excellence stuff, so do seek help from your teacher if you are looking for excellence. And just scrolling all the way to top from start to finish in this 5-set series, which probably took me less than an hour and a half, 2 hours, I was able to come up with a plan section of the problem section, which included a lot of research. We can see the links here. We had the plan section, which described the variable, linked purpose, found some more research. We had the data section, which used NZgrapher to get the graphs. We analyzed the long-term trend, the seasonal effects, and unusual points. We actually researched specifically why these things were happening. And then we did try to discuss the appropriateness of the X values and some residuals. And we identified them in the graph. We then did our forecast analysis using December 2007 and June 2008. And finally, we wrapped up with a bit of a conclusion, and we included evidence of our research to develop our answer more, and we linked it back to our purpose. So hopefully you found these videos useful. The last thing I want to emphasize, just a reminder, this was my take on the example. Your example is going to be different. You'll need to use different words. Make sure you're looking at your marking schedule and make sure you're happy with your final answer. Thanks for watching, guys.